Hey there, Legion, this is Hadrian. Thank you for being here, and I finally get to say to you, let's play Stellaris Apocalypse in a brand new daily series I'm calling High Dominion. I am going to take a bit of time to set up the series and species information. If you want to skip straight to gameplay, there's a timestamp on the screen. This is, of course, a pre-release series courtesy of Paradox Development Studio, so let me start by tipping my hat and acknowledging those wonderful people over across the pond from me for letting us see this game a few days early here on the channel. We're going to be playing the full 2.0 version in its current state anyway, as of the Monday before its Thursday release, and we'll be playing a custom race, the High Dominion of Syndar, which I've been saving for this new expansion and this series specifically. I'll be introducing you to them in just a moment. I know you're as ready as I am to actually see this massive update in motion. I've played a little bit to get my feet wet, but I'm pretty new to all of it myself and will be learning as I go. Since I've already covered the expansion and the patch at length in my Apocalypse miniseries, here's a link if you want to get caught up on those first. I'm going to be diving into gameplay pretty much right after I go over the setup. I'll talk a little more about plans for the series once we're underway. So before I actually jump into anything, can we just stop and appreciate this title screen for just a second? If you've been watching the Paradox development streams, you're already well aware of this title screen. If you have not been watching the Paradox development streams, then you are not aware of it, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as I did the first time I saw it. It's just a great new title screen. There's no special settings. This is just what the title screen looks like now. Presumably for everyone, but definitely for Apocalypse owners. I think probably for everyone. I can't imagine them not, adding this as kind of an enticement to maybe make people think a little harder about picking up Apocalypse. But anyway, I love it. Let's go ahead and jump in to start a new game here. We're going to select the High Dominion of Syndar, and we're going to edit them so that we can actually look through and see what they look like before we set up our game. So Legion, High Dominion, Legion. Let's read their description so you know a little bit more about them before we jump in. Long before the first Sundrians walked among the stars, the isolating nature of their homeworld's terrain had firmly molded their society. Driven by conflict, political intrigue, and unending savagery, ever-distrustful rival factions vied unyieldingly for dominion. Simultaneous control of the highest, most advantageous peaks, and the deepest, richest valleys of each region. The image of the first hyperlane traveler taken from the observatories of Syndar, however, marked a cataclysmic shift like none before it. A new dominion was formed, a global coalition of every known dominion of Syndar, and the Sundrians stepped forth into the heavens with one purpose: to dominate all who dare to threaten the High Dominion. So, that's our introduction to the High Dominion of Syndar. Let's go ahead and take a look at, of course, they're humanoid, but a little bit more about them. There's the biography. The race name is, of course, the Sundrians, as you caught there in the description. We're using ship prefix AT. We're going to skip past that. That's just name-specific stuff. So for our traits, I did select intelligence, so we're going to be slightly faster researchers. We are strong. You're going to find that the civics and the traits are very much consistent with kind of that description that you heard to start off. So they're strong. They're a warlike society. They're warriors. I mean, they live in a mountain world, so you have to be strong because you're climbing all the time. So you're going to have extra army damage as well as 5% extra minerals, you can see there. They're rapid breeders, so they're going to grow really, really fast, 20% faster than average pops in Stellaris. And they're, of course, sedentary. Again, this is an alpine world. They are isolated from one another. They kind of like their home turf areas, and they're into isolation. This is definitely a xenophobe empire. We'll get to that in just a second. But because of that, they are slower to migrate, and it's more expensive to resettle them just because they're stubborn and sedentary. And then, of course, they're decadent, which has to do more with their warlike stratified society. So if they don't have slaves or robotic servants in order to, fulfill their, lower needs and their lower tasks and jobs and such, they'll be unhappy. So without any own population, there has to be a good proportion, there has to be an even proportion of ruling population to slave population in Sundrian society in order for happiness to kind of be maximized. So their homeworld is, of course, Syndar Prime, and it's an alpine world. So mountainous world with a nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere. Snow covers the mountaintops and frozen over lakes dot the valleys. So pretty straightforward there. City appearance, we're going with humanoid, which is new. It's part of the new humanoid species pack that they released, as well as this actual avatar itself. And now let's talk more specifically, the real meat and potatoes. Let's talk about the government and ethics. Similar to the Roman Star Empire in Roma Galactica, I didn't do this on purpose. I'm literally serious. I did, as opposed to figuratively serious. I did not go in and look at Roma Galactica and think, what did I do there? I actually, when starting with this particular race, I just happened to do the same thing. Rather than having an extreme trait, I actually, went in and just picked 3 standard traits, or ethics, rather. So, militarist, they are, again, this is a warlike society. They have extra army damage and an extra fire rate. So they also, I think, didn't we say that, yeah, they've already got extra army damage for being strong. So they're going to have a lot of extra army damage thanks to that. And fire rate, of course, for their ships is 10% higher as well. Because they are xenophobes, they can purge aliens, they can enslave aliens. Did I miss any special? Yeah, can use the no retreat war doctrine as well. War doctrines, are a new feature in Apocalypse, which we'll be covering shortly. I've already covered in the miniseries, but we'll talk about it more in the game. Xenophobe can purge aliens, can enslave aliens, and you have a decreased opinion of other species. You cannot allow aliens full citizenship, you cannot allow aliens full military service, and you cannot use the refugees welcome species policy. So basically, refugees get shunned, as you might expect from a xenophobe. And then, of course, the starbase influence costs are 20% cheaper as a result. So not the outposts, but those initial upgrades that we talked about in the Apocalypse miniseries will be cheaper to build for the Sundrians. And the claim influence costs as well. So when you're claiming a system that belongs to another empire and you're saying, hey, that's actually our system, we want that, it's going to be cheaper for us because we just have this dominant kind of ethos to our empire. We are also authoritarian, which means we have a caste system, we have slavery, we can enslave aliens, and we cannot use democratic government forms. So we do get extra influence as a result of that, 0.5 monthly influence extra, and then an extra 5% resource production from any slaves, whether they are Sundrian slaves, which we will start off with Sundrian slaves, but we'll eventually maybe enslave other races instead. Who knows? I mean, I'm going to kind of role play a little bit like I did with Roma Galactica, a little bit looser this time since it's not based in Earth mythology or real world anything really. It's more it's pure sci-fi this time. But they do, of course. We're going to start off with just Sundrian slaves. And those are their 3 ethics. Now, for authority, I went ahead and chose oligarchic as their government type. So that means they will hold an election every 20 years. The other options were dictatorial, which means upon ruler death, we would select a new ruler, or imperial, which means upon ruler death, a designated successor, words, becomes the new ruler. Okay? So we are actually every 20 years going to select a new ruler, which I thought made sense because we're talking about a really kind of, yes, they've united, but this is a war. This is a society that's been warring against one another for a long time. They need to select new leaders from among different tribes often, or there's going to be problems. So that's why we're going with the oligarchic option, which of course gives us the title of War Council when you consider the 2 civics which we picked. Again, very much grounded in the description that I read to you. Cutthroat politics, warrior culture, army damage plus 20%, army upkeep minus 20%, and cutthroat politics means edicts are actually 20% cheaper across the board, which is going to be awesome. When I was test playing Apocalypse, I did not have anything like that, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that changes things. What was cutthroat politics in the previous version? That's completely different, actually. Cutthroat politics was... shadow government is what made electing leaders... in the old version, it was half as cheap. In this version, it's 3/4 cheaper. It's crazy cheap when you have Shadow Council. But what was cutthroat politics before? I can't remember. Talk about it in the comments. I literally can't remember. But they've changed that. It used to be something different, I believe. I could be mistaken. I might just be mixing it up with Shadow Council or something. But anyway, of course, again, warrior culture is because we are militarists, we get that another army damage boost. So we're very, very, very strong in terms of our ground invasion capabilities. These are hardy warriors. They've got these skull caps, bone skull caps that you just don't want to mess with these guys, and that's kind of the plan. Just really quickly, we'll go through the rest of the settings. I picked the xenophobe voice, which is very, very amusing and perfect for this ethos that I've created. Ship appearance, we are going with humanoid ships, and our ruler is Candrith, Executor Candrith. Let's go ahead and say that we're done, because we are. The actual game setup is we're going with 800 stars, which is the exact same size that I used for Roma Galactica. Slightly more AI empires this time, though. We're going to go with 9. The standard for 800 stars is actually 12. So I did reduce it to 9 to give us a little bit more room, but less room than we had at the start of Roma Galactica, for those of you who are still here from that series, or maybe you watched Cooperate or Die, or Federation, perhaps. A lot of people still want me to finish Federation. Federation is just so old at this point. I digress, but I'll redux Federation at some point. with a newer version of the game. That'd be fun to do. Maybe an Apocalypse series as like a Federation 2.0. Anyway, we're going to turn off advanced starts. And the reason for that is, again, the game's completely different, guys. It's completely, entirely different. There's no... I just don't... We're going to be going over so much, and I'm going to be learning so much. We're going to have enough to deal with just facing standard opponents in a brand new game of Stellaris than trying to take on advanced starts right away, especially because there's new mid-game crises, there's end-game crises to deal with, and those are still in the game. I haven't even changed the crisis strength down from 1.25, so I'm just turning advanced AI starts off for this first ever Apocalypse playthrough. Hope you'll understand. Fallen Empires, we are going to randomize that, so we'll have between 1 and 3 Fallen Empires. We'll see what the game throws at us. Marauder Empires, same thing. We can only randomize up to 1 to 3, so I tick this down to 1 to 2, so that may be 2 Marauder Empires, or there might just be 1. We'll see. And then, of course, there is the tech tradition cost modifier, which you can now slide around if you want techs and traditions to arrive slower or faster. We're going to keep that the same. Habitable worlds, 1x, keep that pretty much exactly at the default. I mean, that is the default. And then primitive civilizations, 1.5x. Again, that's the default. All of these are default settings, actually. Normal AI aggressiveness, we're going to go with normal difficulty. Might step it up in future series, but I tend to like playing Stellaris on normal, frankly, because it's got that nice balance that I always enjoy between challenge and, actually enjoying yourself. But then again, sometimes I find myself thinking, I could play this on the next level up and see if it might be a little bit more fun. So, it's always a bit of a give or take depending on your start, right? But we're going to go with normal for this first ever series, and random empire placement. We are not going to have clusters, and then advanced neighbors are turned off. Of course, there are going to be no advanced empires of any kind, really. Hyperlane density is going to be set to 1x, abandoned gateways also 1x, wormhole pairs 1x. So these are all, again, FTL's been completely reworked. If some of this sounds like gibberish to you, go back and watch my series, the little mini-series I did covering this patch, or just, if you want, just watch this gameplay, because I'm probably going to be talking about it a little bit. Not so much from a full coverage standpoint, but just from the fact that I'm playing it, and we've got to talk our way through it. And we're going to turn Iron Man off for this particular playthrough. I've started messing around with Iron Man playthroughs just because it's fun, but the kind of lifestyle I lead, I'm sorry, I just like the ability to save the game when I'm ready to get up and leave the computer. I don't like having to wait for an autosave. Sometimes I just got to get up and go. So, especially as a YouTuber. So we're going to leave that off for now. But let's go ahead and get this started, shall we? Oh my god, I'm so excited. All right, so completely random start. That's the made-up narration for the High Dominion of Syndar that is not actually applicable because we made our own. But yeah, those are the civics we just went over. Let's begin. We have Syndar Prime here. So it looks like we got a Class F star for our home system. Pretty nice. F-type stars are fairly large and often referred to as yellow-white dwarves, although they often emit significant amounts of UV radiation. Their wide habitable zones have a good chance of supporting life-bearing worlds. So I don't see any colonizable worlds aside from ours. Well, it's a toxic world. Can't do anything with that. And a barren world there. Notice one thing right away. Our home system is surveyed. It's completely, like, we can already see everything. That's a new feature in the Cherryh update 2.0. So if you were curious why that is showing that way, it's not a bug. That is actually supposed to be that way. So on that note, let's actually jump back out to the galaxy map. What else is different? Notice that our borders are a little bit oddly shaped. That's because they make up pretty much all of the space that would ever be taken up by the owner of this system in particular. So what we control is the system of Sin. That is our home system. And it's out here, it looks like mostly on the outer edge of the galaxy. And I actually kind of like, from an isolationist standpoint, I like that we've got a few star systems out here and that we're on the outside. From a narrative standpoint, that makes a lot of sense. So let's go ahead and pick our first researches here. Hang on, do we have a triple? Oh, yes, we do. We've got a triple threat. So I'm going to go ahead and go for... Wait, well, let me... Before I get too excited. There might be... Nah, we're going to do it. Also, notice that it's immediately offering me improved deflectors. Yes, I already have access to shields. I already have access to armor, basic armor, and I already have access to every basic weapon type, including missiles, which now go only in torpedo slots. Everything's different, guys. Strap in. I'm going to try and take my time for these first couple of minutes, but I'm excited too, so we'll see how this goes. But I am going to go for this triple threat here. We're going to research the first level labs so that we can have that extra ability. And let's make sure our researchers are all doing their best We've got a physics researcher. They're not matching skills, but they are matching class of skill. So that could eventually be useful to have Heffanira there. John R. is our society researcher. So Heffanira is our physics researcher. John R. is our society researcher. He is resilient, so he's going to live an extra 25 years. And he's studying a biology project, but that doesn't matter with resilient, of course. And then same thing here. We've got a class match, but not an actual skill match. So Shibala has a propulsion expertise, but this is an industry project. So we'll have to see how that pans out as a little bit more time passes. But those projects have been chosen. Let's visit Syndar Prime. Look at the surface. Another thing they've changed is that, notice tile clearing costs are now purely energy. No more mineral cost of any kind. So rather than having kind of the split cost like 20-20, 40-40, 60-60, you've just got 100 energy to clear one tile, which kind of makes sense, right? Because you pay for it, it's effort, it just gets cleared out. You wouldn't really put resources into clearing a space. I mean, I guess there's different ways of looking at it, but it's a service in a way. You're having a bunch of your people go in and clear out a space. So I kind of agree with the change, but just so you know, it's there. It's there. Should I clear this tile first or this one, or should I not even worry about it? Hang on, let's let it unpause for a second, and I want to see where my first citizen pops in. Come on. Come on. Where are you? I know you want to have babies. You're rapid breeders, Syndar. Come on. Or Sundrians. I promise I know my own race. Guys. Seriously, are you not... Am I just... What's happening? It's been 21 days. Make babies. For God's sake. Am I just blind? Am I just not seeing where they're producing children? Okay, there it is, finally. All right, so they're going to go there. I never realized that it took a month for the first population to pop up. That's the first time I've ever sat and actually waited for that to happen, like, you know, watching paint dry or a watched pot never boils, one of those sayings. So let's go ahead and... I guess I kind of like having you there. Yeah, there's not a better mineral tile on the planet apart from the ones that are already being worked, so may as well. Oh yeah, you know what? Of course, we need our Autoton monument first. Let's go ahead and get that going with that new citizen. And as a matter of fact, maybe, I've got a slight advantage in physics research. This would drop all of my research if I switch these guys. Do I want to do that? No, I don't. I think I'd rather preserve those initial research points and pour them into my first projects. So, okay, that's our first population. Now let's look at our next couple of settings before we unpause for much longer. We've let a month go by. What else is new? Shipyards. So, System of Sin starts with a shipyard. So that's not a shipyard. Come on, where's the shipyard? There it is, that's a shipyard. So this is actually a starport. It has a shipyard module, so it can build ships. You might be wondering, well, what about Syndar Prime? Does it build ships? It does, but only civilian class ships. So construction, science, and colony ships. No longer are military ships built planet-side. They're built at shipyards, which are built over stars. So this starport can be downgraded down to an outpost, but I really wouldn't want to do that. And I can add an additional module right now if I wanted to. I could give myself some additional credits. I'm not going to worry about that yet because I can get some additional credits out of Syndar Prime. Shipyards can be added as well. There's already a shipyard here, of course, though. So this would just allow me to build. I'm guessing if I had two shipyards on one starport, it would allow me to build two ships at once. I think I remember talking about this, or at least reading about it in one of the dev diaries. So fairly certain that's what it would allow me to do. Not going to mess with probably adding anything to this thing right now because we want to conserve our minerals for other things. But that's essentially our first look at this station. We'll talk more about that as we jump in here. Let's now go down to ship designers and take a look at our ships. Let me go ahead and convert these away from auto best designs. Notice, by the way, there are no more science designs, there are no more construction designs, there are no more colony ship designs, there are no more troop transport designs. All of those are now auto-managed by the game. They're not designs you have to manage anymore, which I personally love. Holy crap. Like, don't get me wrong, to an extent, I think in the past several large updates to Stellaris, they have removed like some nitty-gritty. So for instance, surveying your home system, like we saw as I booted the game up for the first time. That's been removed. They removed, what else did they take out? Oh yeah, they removed needing to research, I think you had to research, was it jump drives you had to research first? No, what was it? No, it was colony ships. Colony ships you had to research first before you could actually build a colony ship. They took that out. They gave you the ability to build colony ships right away. And then now, of course, they've given us all of the starting weapons and shield and armor techs right away from the beginning of the game. The purpose being to give you more variety and more to do right from the get-go. But from a narrative standpoint, some people might say, some detail kind of lacking there. But I think it's pretty nice. It's kind of a change. I'll adjust to it. It's not something that I find particularly pleasant or unpleasant. Let's go up to speed 2, say. I would normally go speed 3 right now, but we're still taking in a lot. I just don't want nothing to be happening. This science ship, I'm going to go ahead, because we're isolationist, we're going to explore out this direction. I'll have them survey these 2 systems, and then the next ones that I want you to survey are the adjoining stars. Borders work completely differently in Stellaris now, folks. It's a little bit jarring, but it's awesome. Essentially, they don't expand on their own. You expand your borders with extreme discretion. You have exact control over every system that you own. When you start butting up against other empires' borders, you literally say each system, you point out each system that you think is yours, you lay claim to it, and that's how you declare wars. So, using Casus Belli. So it's a little bit different from vanilla Stellaris and Stellaris 1.0 as we know it. The game, I'm going to be saying this a lot, but it's a different game. And you're going to want to pay attention for these first several episodes. By the way, I'm going to be doing 2 episodes a day, very similarly to what I did for Civilization 6 Rise and Fall. I'm going to be doing 2 episodes a day for the first 10 episodes here. So you guys can look forward to both a morning episode and an afternoon episode, or an evening episode, I guess you can say. Complete. Syndar Prime has finished its surface construction queue, very good, and we completed the construction of the mining station. Excellent. All right, so with that one being done, we're going to have a little bit better... System survey complete. Good. Thuramora has been surveyed, and I will go ahead and claim that. We're going to build an outpost with 100 minerals. Hopefully we won't get pirates too early, because I haven't built a second frigate or anything yet. Or corvette, rather. But we're sending our construction ship. Now that we have surveyed it, we can build an outpost. And this will allow us... not to colonize, because there's nothing colonizable here, but we can exploit the resources of the system as a result. By the way, if you want to see this, here's the fleet manager, the completed fleet manager. No leader right now for Rapalkin's armada. You can change that, though. Oh, nice, there's a leader with a fleet logistician available right away. Notice recruitment is done via energy now, not influence. Again, influence has been retooled pretty significantly. Things that used to cost influence no longer cost influence in a lot of cases. That being one of them. Oh my gosh, so much to cover. Speaking of things to cover, these lines you're seeing along the hyperlanes, these are sensors. This is how sensors work now. The Fog of War, obviously, the Terra Incognita, is being peeled back based on systems that we've visited, and it will never peel forward again. So once we've been to that world, that space will look like this space here, a little bit more colorized. Makes it easier for you to see, for instance, when we get out here to the Weeping Ghost Nebula, it'll pop a little bit more, which is nice. All right, so we're in the process of surveying this system. There's actually a good number of planetary bodies and asteroids in this system because it's taking the science ship a bit to get that started. Okay, there we go. We've seen our borders expand to Thuramora. And as a result, we can now also build research stations, but I think... Ooh, interesting. That's actually a really nice research station to go ahead and build. But I'd rather... Yeah, let's do the mineral mining station first. I need to get my mineral production up. In my first game that I played when I was tinkering around with Apocalypse, when I first got this code to do this series, I had an unusual problem, but it wasn't a problem. It's the opposite of the problem I've normally had in my Stellaris series, which is, I've said in the past that it's routine to have an energy shortage. It's mainly my fault that I had energy shortages in Stellaris in the past. I've played a lot more lately and learned to overcome that, but for the first time, I actually had a huge energy surplus right at the beginning of the game. It was really weird, but cool in a way. It went away, believe me. Once I hit a certain point where there was more to do with that energy, it was more difficult to maintain that surplus and really have a huge stockpile. But I started out not really having to worry about this number up here as much as I did in the past. So I'll be curious to see if that repeats itself at all. Okay, so that's done. What else can we do? I want to build that research station, man. Like, I can't pass that up. That's 4 engineering research right off the bat to help speed up. I mean, that's a 50% increase in our speed on engineering. I mean, this is going to go so much faster. This is going to be done well ahead of the physics lab and bio lab. That's a really good start. And then as much as possible, I'm going to keep claiming system. Ooh, Isius has a lot of minerals. That's awesome to see. So we've got kind of a back pocket here that we can set up control of and control a good amount of resources right away. That makes me happy. That makes me a happy Hadrian. What else have we looked at as far as basic, or have we not looked at as far as basic starting points? Let's look at policies really quickly. Our war philosophy is unrestricted wars, of course. Food stockpiling for now is minimal. We'll probably change that to balanced in these first 10 episodes or so, definitely. Notice our edicts. We have Map the Stars available to us right away. And we can do it right now if I wanted for 70 influence. I'm not going to. But that would give us faster survey speed, and anomaly discovery chance would be increased by 10%. Very nice. Orbital bombardment would be indiscriminate here, which I'm perfectly fine with that for now. Because again, we're a warlike society. Resettlement is allowed. First contact protocol will be aggressive. Makes sense, I would say. Initial border status closed. Yes, we're xenophobic, definitely. Core world's population, citizens and slaves. Yep. Refugees. Yep. Citizen species only. And then slavery is allowed. Purge is allowed. And then if you want to see our species rights, they have a caste system. Decent living standards for now. We might mess with that later. But we've got military service at full. Colonization rights allowed, of course. No population controls, no migration controls are enabled. And chattel slavery, which means that food and mineral populations will be slaves. Everyone else will be free. Literally, that's how it works. If you were curious how slaves are determined. Now, again, because we are a decadent race, I need to make sure that there's an even number of slave owners and slaves in terms of just number of heads you see here, number of pops on Syndar Prime as we go forward. Okay, so I do need to claim Isius. Let's go ahead and take care of that now that I've got the influence for it. Notice it's costing me... Hang on, let me actually cancel that order so you can see one more time in case I did it too quickly for you. No, I don't want to disband the fleet. I just want to stop their order. Thank you. Starbase. So that's 100 minerals, of course, but 60 influence. Not bad, really. So we're going to go over there, and then the science ship is on its way. Notice one thing really quickly. See what's happening? Rather than hyperjumping from Isius to this unknown system immediately, the moment they get in from Isius, he has to travel to the jump point. Travel in Stellaris 2.0 and Apocalypse is really different. Things you're going to find in general are a little bit slower than they used to be, and also your actions are much more, again, intentional and deliberate. You have a lot more fine control over expansion, movement, and I'm liking the feel of it so far. I also have, well, let me not go too much into impressions on a broad sense because we're still under embargo, but I'm liking it so far. Let's say that much. All right, we've got our first policy here. All right, now this is interesting. I did briefly boot up the High Dominion when I was figuring out, when I was making sure everything still worked okay with Apocalypse, with the review code. And I was curious, I almost always go for expansion first. But from a roleplay perspective, they would go for domination first immediately. If you were listening at all when I read the description of the High Dominion of Syndar, they would go for domination first. That's their objective. Or they might go maybe for supremacy first. One of these two. So this would improve our starbase capacity right away, and our starbase upgrade cost would be reduced by 20% right away. And then the first upgrades would be better shipyard build speed and cheaper ship upgrades. Claims would be cheaper here, and this would increase army damage. We don't need another increase in army damage right away. Ooh, there's a policy there. I would need 2 others first to get this one, but if we had a neighboring rival, that would increase our unity output. But what if we went domination? So we would be able to demand vassalization and tribute if we did this first. And then the next policy we have would increase our governor level cap and our empire leader capacity, both by 2. And then if we had subjects, the other tier 1 domination ability would be subject opinion increased by 20 and trust cap increased by 50. And another unity bonus for once I had, in this case I would just need 1 policy to unlock that one. Whereas in this one I would need 2 to get to that unity boost. So domination or supremacy. If I really want to go for role play, I feel like that's what they would unlock first. But see, the thing is, what bugs me about that from a strategic standpoint, expansion is the way to go first because you get faster colony development speed. When you finish the expansion tree, you get extra core sector systems. And this is the big one. This is why expansion is just good to go for universally across the board first, because capital buildings now produce an additional 1 unity. Starbase influence cost reduced by 10%. But yeah, this is the big one. I mean, it really helps increase your unity production early on. You know what? I'm going to go for expansion first here, but we're going to prioritize domination and supremacy next, whereas in other games, I might think discovery, harmony, prosperity as my second or third options. So let's still go for expansion first because I feel weird not doing it. It just feels a little bit too uncomfortable. Had to talk myself through that. I know, but it's worth it. Because now I'm more comfortable with what we're actually doing. All right, so we're almost done here. Let me step up to speed 3 for a second, I guess, because we've looked at most of the new interface stuff. 20% don't like that. Let's leave that be. Oh, wait, never mind. Now that's going to be easier. Go ahead and research it. You leveled up right as we finished. Very good. Okay, we have room for some more mining stations here. Let's go ahead and build that one, as well as that one. And that will considerably improve our mineral production on Isius. I am keeping an eye on pop growth, and I will build as things become available here. It appears that the asteroid T3PO and the surrounding debris originate from a former planet. Deep within the center of the asteroid, we can find traces of extremely valuable minerals. There are also hints of bacterial life that has now died or have now died in the vacuum of space. This shows us that the celestial body once bore the promise of life. Amazing. So, there's a really, really nice mineral system there too. So again, we've got a mineral-rich back corner thing, backlog, back cubby, whatever you want to call it, of systems, a back pocket. There we go. It's our back pocket of resources that seems pretty rich. We have recovered artifacts from an ancient alien civilization. By the way, really quickly, if you've not watched one of my Stellaris series before, I do read these towards the front end of the series, in case there are people watching who have not seen these before or who are curious about the game. As we go on and we start to see repeat events, I will not read everything that pops up, I promise. But for the beginning, I'm going to read through it. I mean, for a narrative purpose, I think it's better that way. Hopefully you do too. But anyway, on Sinistra 1, incredibly, this civilization, which apparently referred to itself as the Cybrex, it's the Cybrex, seems to have been made up of machines that were linked together in some sort of collective consciousness. The age of the artifacts indicate they were active some 600,000 years ago, in this portion of the galaxy at least, but we have learned nothing of their exact origins. According to a partial data fragment that our scientists managed to extract from one of the artifacts, the Cybrex at some point launched a crusade to destroy all sapient organic life in the galaxy for reasons unknown.
Situation log updated.
Alrighty then. The High Dominion of Syndar is abuzz with news of the alien organisms discovered by the ATS Codman the Restorer some time ago. That's literally the name of our science ship, FYI. While far from intelligent, there is life out there, an inescapable reality and a deeply unsettling prospect. Disconcerting. Again, we're xenophobes, so we don't like the idea that we're not alone. Human beings, we've got some xenophobes and some xenophiles, on our planet. So some people would be excited, some people would not be. This race, however, the Sundrians, they're all against it. They're completely opposed to the idea whatsoever of there being aliens out in the world. The administration on Syndar Prime received Science Officer Ross' report on the alien remnants with some apprehension. The leavings in question are now widely considered to be definitive proof of unknown forces once having been active in the galaxy, though some prominent Sundrian thinkers reject this in favor of identifying the traces as freak geological formations or results of curious natural phenomena. Remarkable. So we haven't found a colonizable planet yet. But we have found this very nice pocket of resources. Few complaints. I'm going to go ahead and queue up this energy mining station so we can make sure that as we build new... See, every time we build a research station or a mineral mining station, it has a maintenance cost, so our energy surplus is going to slowly go down. Scans indicate the presence of a foreign alien-made object on one of Sinistra 7's many frozen mountaintops. Research, please. That is a very, very nice system in our back pocket as well. I'm excited about that. Let's also get that mining station built. And then I'm going to go ahead and send... I can't yet because we haven't fully surveyed Sinistra. Interesting that there's a system called Sinistra right next to the Sin system, which is, of course, custom named. A whiff of something. Oh, wow, this is quick. I usually get this a little bit later in the game. The ATS Cadman the Restorer has recovered an elongated metal box from the surface of Sinistra 7. Clusters of small perforations on 5 sides lead Science Officer Ross to believe it is not a container, but some sort of aerosol dispersal device. Initial tests seem to confirm their suspicions as trace aromatics still emanate from the object. A special project has been issued to confirm whether this might be an information-carrying device constructed by some alien race communicating primarily through the secretion and reception of atmosphere-borne chemical compounds, aka smells. Malodorous. So we have a special project. Let's pause and go ahead and start that. Oh, yep, we do actually need a scientist, but he needs to be actually, yeah, skill level 3. Again, I normally get that later, so because we're not skill 3 yet, we can't do that yet. We'll have to send someone back there, probably that same scientist, a little bit later. I want to see if I can get to... I want to find my first colonizable world before we end this first episode here.
System survey.
By the way, by all means, ask questions in the comments if there's something I didn't explain thoroughly, or if you're just curious about some new feature, or curious about the game, period. I'm happy to talk to you, and I'm sure other people will be as well, as far as how this stuff works. I can't, again, while we are before release date, I can't talk too much about, like, grand impressions, and, like, if someone asks me, Hadrian, what do you think overall? Like, what's your impression of it? Like, what's your rating? Like, can't talk about that until Thursday, but we can talk about what the content is, and what the plan was, and what I'm actually playing, of course, because we're playing it. I mean, we're allowed to show it. Just can't talk too much about opinions and such a little bit later on. Those are the rules. So, Engineering Facility 1, Advanced Instrumentation allows for the study and practical application of physical systems at nanometric scales. Very good. Every now and then I just randomly read. I've started doing it. I'll do it in Civilization 6. I'll do it in this game. Just read the text that's in front of me. So, let's see. A couple of new technologies here. Now, this is brand new. This has never been Stellaris before. This is, you might remember in the Dev Diaries, or if you watched my coverage series, they added some features that they added some new technologies that actually allow you to have just a little bit more. It's more with that kind of fine-grained approach I was talking about, where there's just more detail in terms of like the little ways you can upgrade your ships through research. And this is one of them. So we can make corvettes immediately stronger. We can give them afterburners, too, or better armor. All 3 good options. Now, Shibala is a propulsion expertise engineer, so afterburners would be the way to go, I think, initially. Let's do that, just because here's why I want to do this. This is going to be done fastest, and then we might have these 2 options. We might have 2 different ones, but then we'll have a third one that's not afterburners. So this might actually lead to some more interesting options, and more interesting options sooner as well. Okay, so that's being built. Let's go ahead and queue that up as well. So we're going to claim Sinistra. Meanwhile, our science ship is on its way out there, and I'm sure there will be, in one of these systems, there's got to be something. Let's go ahead and unpause. There's got to be something in one of these 2. Oh, did I not hire an admiral? I thought I did. List him. Oh, that's right. I remember. We were low on energy. Let's go ahead and recruit that admiral. And then for our first tradition, we are going to go with capital buildings producing an additional 1 unity, which will help us get more traditions faster. That's the whole reason I did it. Oh, new pop growing here. You're not quite ready for a building yet, but you are ready for an upgrade. Probably don't need one, though, because that's an engineering upgrade, and we already have a lot of engineering points, so I'm going to wait until maybe a physics upgrade is available there. You can clear a few tiles here. Let's maybe focus on the energy and mineral tiles. Okay, Johnner has leveled up, and Hefenira has leveled up, so 2 of our researchers have leveled up. However, Shibala has not yet. Anomaly. Wait. Too much game. All right, Shabala just leveled up. There we go. A small rectangular object on the surface of this planet is deflecting all scanning beams like a mirror. Our sensors are unable to determine its material composition. This is on HOTUS 1. Let's leave that be for now, because that's way too risky. But it doesn't look like there's anything here. However, HOTUS is a very small system, so we're going to be done surveying this very soon, and we can head over this direction. All right, construction done here. Oh, sweet, I can build mining stations outright. I'm actually getting pretty lucky here with my initial resource allocation, so enjoying this a good bit. I will go ahead and queue up this energy mining station as well, because same thing. Again, I'm building a lot of stations, and some of them are energy stations, but with the number of mining stations I'm building, I want to make sure I can keep up with my upkeep. That was not intentional, FYI, in any way whatsoever. Okay, here we go. Yeah, here we go. All right, we have an alpine world in Citrinius. Let the excitement commence. And it's actually a pretty big alpine world. What are we looking at? 18 slot alpine world, which Syndar Prime is a 19 slotter, which is a good start.
We have mastered a new technology.
What do we got? Physics Lab 1. So, tell you what, let's go ahead and do that for you. And then we need a new research project. Ooh, one thing that they changed as well is that upgrades for weapons or armor or anything really, upgrades for the systems of ships that you can see a tangible effect in game, like in terms of combat, blue lasers are now substantially better than red lasers, as opposed to just a little bit better. So they tweaked that to make it more of a noticeable upgrade in between each change, which I like. They just kind of spread it out to where you can feel the upgrade more. All right, so Citrinius hasn't quite been finished yet.
Construction complete.
Oh, wow, that was fast. So yeah, we're on speed 3, I guess, so that's happening. New colony starting with 1 additional pop. Should I do that first? Or I don't know if we'll have... Or maybe we will, actually. We have a good amount of minerals because we've started off so well. Let's go ahead and select that, because that new pop will be able to work a...
System survey
What's it
complete.
called? What's it called, guys? That thing, Autoton Monument, right away. Okay, so with that being done, that science ship needs something to do, but Citrinius 3 can be colonized right now. Oh wait, no it can't. You wanna know why? Because we need to build an outpost there. Again, completely new rules. I'm learning. Let's see, what else can we do here? I think I do want to go ahead and tell you what, it's all kind of based now on junctions, right? Because hyperlanes are so much more important. So let me kind of poke my head out in each direction here. And then I suppose I'll come back and survey these systems. See what happens. All right, so we need to get our construction ship over to Citrinius. I've queued up the starbase. So he's going to build 1 energy mining station in Sin. All right, Ross is still level 2. Once he's level 3, we can send him back to take care of the olfactory study. Yeah, go ahead and look into that. That's fine. Okay, we've got a desert world here in Balawar.
We have mastered a new technology.
Good. Biolab 1 is finished. Okay, now, battle debris. A colossal space battle occurred in high orbit of Balawar 6 some 600,000 years ago, with ships from at least 5 different fleets participating. One of the fleets belonged to the Cybrex, although the vast majority of orbital debris seems to come from the other participants. Remarkable. So the Cybrex were badass.
Updated.
So, neural implants. This might be the best one to go for here, because we can get the slave processing facility, which we build on all of our worlds, which gives you both minerals and food, but also makes slaves even better than they already are. We already have a growth speed. Yep, let's do that. We already have a growth speed boost. We're going to run with that. We are going to run with that. Battle debris is a level 4 research project, so that's not happening for a bit. Mining station's going up. We're going to claim Citrinius, and as soon as I've given the order for the colony to start, I will go ahead and stop this episode, because I don't want to let this one go too much longer. I'm excited about this campaign already, though. This is an interesting start. And, of course, in a very, very new Stellaris. I'm finding it... Hopefully I don't sound like this, but I'm finding it hard to commentate on. Because I've played Stellaris, and Stellaris is popular on my channel. A lot of you are here to watch me play Stellaris or talk about Stellaris, but I have so little experience with this version of the game It's an odd experience to be playing a game that I've played a lot of, but that has changed so much in the most recent update.
Complete.
Okay, there we go. So that being done, notice now we have a full globe. That should have been the indicator to me that I couldn't colonize it yet earlier, but got a full globe icon. Also notice that colony ships are cheaper now because you have to invest a little bit to build the starbase. So they took away some of the top. They basically cut the top off the cost of colony ships, which is, I think, a good move. All right, so here, boost food, boost minerals, give me energy here. Here, might be best here. It wouldn't do anything for the science. Yeah, let's do it there. Citrinius Prime. Okay, that order has been given, and I will go ahead and stop this first episode here. But again, for the first 10 episodes, I'm going to be doing 2 a day just to celebrate the launch of Apocalypse. I can't wait to talk more about grand impressions. I might even wait till later in the series, even after launch, just because, you know, it's not even about the embargo. It's just about taking my time with really letting this sink in. But we're 1 episode in. Like I said, I've played a little bit before I started this campaign. I'm having fun with it already. As far as you know, what you guys think, talk away. The rules don't apply to you. So you guys can talk about it in the comments and kind of share some impressions of what you're seeing so far. And I'm looking forward to talking about it with you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to follow along. New episodes are going to be coming out every day. Again, 2 a day for these first 10, but every day at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And stay tuned, by the way, because pretty soon I think I'm going to be tweaking my time slots permanently. Because I'm thinking about basically shifting them backwards a little bit to give, for instance, like 6 p.m. Eastern time for you Europeans is pretty damn late. So I'm actually thinking, moving things back a little bit earlier across the board to make everything a little bit more accessible across the globe during the daytime as far as new content. So stay tuned because I might be changing that. But for now, I'll go ahead and traditionally say 6 p.m. Eastern time, and then the other episodes will actually be coming out first at 3 p.m. This first one, obviously, is a bit of an exception because it came out as soon as the embargo ended, but we'll be doing 2 a day for the first 10, and then 1 a day at 6 p.m., or whatever the time slot ends up being going forward from that. Thanks again for watching. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, especially because we've got so much to talk about, and I'll see you next time.